Hi everyone, welcome back. Let's talk about the diminished scale. The diminished scale is constructed from a series of tones and semitones, specifically tone, semitone, and so on. That means there's only one other mode of it, which is semitone, tone, semitone, tone, imaginatively called the half-whole diminished scale, or sometimes the symmetrical half-whole diminished scale. The diminished scale works over diminished 7 chords, not half diminished chords or minor 7 flat 5 chords, and we don't tend to use it over diminished triads. It really is diminished 7 chords we use it over. And the half-whole diminished scale we use over altered dominants, especially 7 flat 9 chords. Before we look at the scale, we need to know these chords well. If you've seen my other videos, you'll know that scale choices are determined by chords. Here is an A diminished 7. It's constructed by playing a root, a minor third, flat 5, double flat 7. So I'll say that again, 1, flat 3, flat 5, double flat 7. In this case, I've got A, that's my root. My flattened third is here. I can't play this one because I can't play 2 notes on the same string at the same time. So there's my flat third, my flat 5 is here, and my double flat 7 is this G flat here. So I've got A, C, E flat, G flat or F sharp. Okay. Now what's really cool about this chord is any one of these notes can be treated like the root, and the reason is, watch what happens if I move this chord a minor third up the neck, 1, 2, 3 frets. I get the same 4 notes in a different order. My C is now there, my E flat is now there, my A flat is now there, and my G flat I should say, and my A is there. I can move this up another minor third to here. I've got the same 4 notes in a different order. This time my E flat is here. I could call that the root, or I could call this G flat here the root. I could call this A the root, or I could call this C the root here. So again, same 4 notes, just a different order. Any one of them could be the root note. And if I move it up 4 frets, again I've got the same 4 notes in a different order. If I go up another minor third, oops, running out of space, I've got the chord I started with the A on the root note. So there's a kind of symmetry to these chords. Another way of playing it is like this. Again, this is a movable chord. I could play this chord. This one's got 2 roots in it, there and there, 2 A notes. Again, it's movable. I could play this chord where the root is on the A string, but it could be any of these notes. And again, it's movable. Just move up in minor thirds. Now, if we arpeggiate those chords, arpeggio means broken chords. If I break these chords up, we'll start with this one. If I break this up, I've got a root, a minor third, which I could play here, a flat 5, which is here. So flat 5 is from this note to this one. However, from here to the previous note is again a minor third. And if I play the double flat 7 here, that's a minor third higher than that previous note there. So I've basically got a stack of minor thirds. You could keep doing this all the way up the neck, just playing minor thirds. One string, or maybe like this. Move over a fret to the next string. Move over a string on 1 fret. Move over a fret. Move over 2 frets for the B string. Move over 1 fret and back. Now in theory you could do this a fret lower and do the same thing with it over the same chord, but it would sound very clashy because you'd be playing a semitone lower than the chord you're playing. So you're better off to stick with this arpeggio. Now there's a great trick that people use with this arpeggio. Sometimes they play like this, or sometimes they move this way, or on the top 3 strings you can do this little run. And that is sweepable. I can play down, up, up, up. And because it's symmetrical, I can shift it like this. And that was just sweep picking. Down, up, 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 down, up, 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 down, up, 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 down, up, up, up. Anyway, when might we use these chords? Well, let's imagine you're composing something, and let's say you've come up with this, C, D, E minor. You could fill in the gaps with passing diminished 7 chords. So C, C sharp diminished 7, D, D sharp diminished 7, E minor, which is exactly what Paul McCartney did when he wrote Blackbird. You could take the familiar pop progression that goes 1, 5, 6, 4, in this case C, G, A minor, F. as used by millions of songs, and you could make it more interesting. You could put between the G and the A minor a G sharp diminished 7. You can also take a good old minor 5-1 progression like E7 to A minor. You'll have seen this in one of my previous videos. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, maybe check out some of my previous ones where I talk a lot about minor 5-1s. You can take that E7 and replace it with a G sharp diminished 7. And the reason that works is because most of these notes belong to an altered E chord. For example, there is my third, a G sharp, that belongs to the chord of E. That B is the fifth in a chord of E. This D is the flat 7 in a chord of E7, and this would be a flat 9. So it's basically like playing an E7 flat 9. There's no E note, but that's okay. We're kind of implying its presence there by this familiar sounding resolve. So if I was to draw the diminished scale across the whole neck, it would look like this. And it's a bit of a mess. And you'll notice I've drawn in grey the diminished chords hiding underneath the scale. Now, the thing is, there's only 2 patterns when we break the neck up, because those patterns can just be shifted minor thirds up the neck and they just end up repeating. So we're just going to learn these 2 patterns. Here's the first one. Sounds a bit dark and mysterious, a bit evil. In fact, diminished chords were kind of considered demonic chords back in the day. It's got the diminished arpeggio hiding in there, by the way, so that's always a great shortcut if you're trying to play over something and you're not sure what to do with the scale. What you could do is you could literally just play. In fact, let's do that now. Let's put an A diminished 7 in this looper here. Let's play the scale first. It sounds fine. What if I was to play a diminished arpeggio? So that's a good way of doing things. Take the chord and just work around the chord. So this time I'm going to do the same thing again, but I'm going to literally just play notes of the chord and then move in and out of the chord and add the extra notes. So here's just the chord. Okay, I'm just adding extra notes. Again, I'll play some chord tones. The second pattern I could play in numerous different places, but I'm going to play it so that I've got the same root note, say here. So I've got this. Let's try that in the looper again. This time we'll use the same A diminished 7 chord, but we're going to play up here. Sounds a little bit weird, just kind of running up the scale. So what I'll do is I'll take the chord itself, I'll take this A diminished 7 chord here, and I'll mess around with notes within the chord and then add to it. So I could play bits of the chord itself. I could even play a diminished arpeggio. What you can do as well is you can take your diminished arpeggio and each note you can kind of dip back a semitone and then back up again. So you get. So I've got this kind of thing. The half-whole diminished scale works over altered dominants, especially when there's a flat 9 present. Let's have a look at some altered dominants. Here is a D chord, here's a D7, here's a D7 flat 9, D7 sharp 9, D7 flat 5, and D7 sharp 5. This one's not so good for us because the half-whole diminished scale doesn't have that note in it. So we'll ignore that. Now the patterns we can play over this are exactly the same as they were for the diminished scale. The only thing that's changed is the root notes. What I've done here is I've drawn the first pattern, but this time I've put a little dominant 7 chord hiding under there. Only a dominant 7 chord. I've not put the alterations because you can choose which ones you're going to play. But we need some kind of landmark, okay? So there's our landmark chord. And let's put that in the looper. I'm going to play a D7 flat 9 in my looper, and we'll play the scale over it and see what it sounds like. So here's the scale first. Okay, sounds weird. You could play a diminished arpeggio here, but not from this note. You'd have to come up a semitone or go up a major third. So let's see what it sounds like if I mess around using that scale over that chord shape. What I'm going to do is I'm going to really try and focus on the chord notes first, because that's easier, and then try and add notes around it to build on it. So here's my root note, here's my third, flat 7, here's another root note here, here's another third here, maybe a flat 7 here. I've not played anything strange yet, just chord tones. I could maybe add a 5 here, I could add a flat 5 here. Sounds a bit odd, but it works. And there you go, I'm adding extra notes from the scale. I could play my diminished arpeggio in there as well. I could start from a root, go up a major third, and then it's minor thirds. And so on. So here's another way of playing a D altered chord. I could take a D7 like this. I could go flat 5, sharp 5, which isn't so useful here. D7 sharp 9, D7 flat 9. And my scale pattern is one of the ones where we learned earlier in the diminished scale. But again, the root note's different. So here's the chord. And here is my pattern. On the chord diagram, I've written a little D7 shape chord. And what I'll do is I'll focus on that chord and then just add the other notes around it like this. So here's my D7 flat 9. I can play a D, my third, flat 7, maybe my flat 9. That works. I could add another root note here. I can add another third here. I can add a flat 5 here. Flat 9 here, sharp 9, and you get this kind of thing. I could maybe put a diminished arpeggio in here, not from this note of course, but up a semitone or up a major third. For the sake of completeness, let's just talk about the whole tone scale as well, which is basically a series of tones. Tone, 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 which looks like this across the whole neck. And most people learn it's just one pattern with 3 notes per string, like this. It's used over augmented chords and dominant 7 sharp 5 chords. I once heard the sound described as disappearing down a rabbit hole. That mystical kind of sound. You can use it over an altered dominant chord like this. Here's an A7 sharp 5. I can take that sharp 5 and just play tones. Or this kind of thing. Anyway, I hope that was useful to you. I'm currently putting all this information into one place in a book, all about music theory. So keep your eyes peeled on the description section. Hopefully in the next few weeks you'll see a link where you can get hold of a copy of that. In the meantime, please click like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.